Starting the second turn here of King David, and the alliance concept. So, among other things, diplomacy allows you to kind of cut some deals that have no standing, but there's a specific alliance provision in it which allows you to stack your troops together, give food and resources to one another, and to move through each other's territory without conquering it, basically. All very appealing. Aramea was actually considering this, an alliance with the Philistines. They have some forces down here they'd like to get through. There's a problem. Moab. Moab is sitting here. Being able to transit this space without formally allying to Moab wouldn't be possible. Moving into it would perhaps start a war with Moab. There's no formal war state. That's the standard state of everything, but it could just be considered risky. Alternatively, you're thinking, well, what about getting here? Well, no, the Jordan is there, and nothing can cross it except right here. And that's the problem. The problem is that Aramea cannot... The forces that it would commit against Judah would be the very forces that it needs to protect itself against Moab. They could come to some sort of agreement. Moab sticks around and cuts and takes that back. It's not like there's any supply or anything in this game, which is kind of weird. But right now, they're leaning towards a wait-and-see policy, with the hope that if things just start going very badly, Moab's willing to pull out of Edom, at which point I think it just becomes neutral again, and engage against Judah. But it may be too late next turn. Hard to tell. Of course, that could happen in the midst of the turn. So what we're going to do is throw action markers back in the cup and set that up. The first 6 will be visible again, and just start a turn. And looking at these markers, a lot of actions. 3 actions came up in those 6. An event, a resource, and a build. Still no harvests. So whatever troops are going to be produced and paid for that matter, during the build phase, just the troops that are already on the board, that's going to come just out of resource points because nobody's got any food on the board. I'm not sure who that gives an advantage to. I mean, obviously, Aramea, with its huge resource pool, is in pretty good shape comparatively for this. But Tyre's not in bad shape in terms, outside of just the who's got the most bucks, does it mean anything? Well, it means something for people who haven't lost their armies. If you still have a fairly powerful army, you're in better shape. There, well, Judah outnumbers the Philistines heavily. And I think they're going to have a very easy time. But they don't have enough forces to do much in terms of sieges. They can take what they can take, but maybe they can't really take the cities as easily. So they may start concentrating more on the hinterlands. For people like Moab, it's not terribly good at all because, well, they're drained of everything, don't get a lot of resources, and are stuck fighting this war against Edom. That's just not going well for them. All right. You know what I was supposed to do before I did that, not that it matters, is the initiative determination, where I roll off and see who gets to go last, really. And actually, we had one tiny twist to that. Aramea chose to go earlier than Tyre, but everyone else pretty much chose to go as late in the turn as they possibly could. There's little advantage to going early. Aramea thinks that they can get a strike in that'll help them in the overall scheme of things, I guess. All right, onward. Okay, well, after Aramea and Tyre have both gone, Aramea made kind of a mistake. They made their combined attack. Tyre withdrew after one round of battle. Then Tyre pulled everything together. And again, is this fair? Is it not? I don't know. Because Aramea had a stack that wasn't really terribly larger. But the extra size may have made some difference here. It usually doesn't seem to. Tyre played a surprise attack. Okay, So they only have their initial 4 units, and they did a little bit more damage, I think, than the Aramaeans did. But then Aramea did not fall back, and they stuck around when they had less, and really kind of got wiped out because of it. Luckily, their leader got away, at least luckily for them. But that puts them in a much weaker position. It looked like they should be able to handle Tyre almost completely, as long as they were careful, but they weren't careful enough. Okay, on to the Philistines. And down here, Edom moved forward. So, the Philistines attacked some of the Judah units, drove them off, no damage. We're talking about 1 unit against 1 unit. It's kind of hard to kill each other off in 1 round. And then David was actually able to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to here and move some Philistines upward, or move some of the Judah militia upward. So he had 4 units against 1. That was enough that he could wipe them out. He had been considering spreading out and taking these 3 locations instead, but then he noticed this was a city and would require a siege. So now he's probably going to have to take it anyway, but the way is clear. The way is absolutely clear. He can just push forward and take what he wants of the Philistine territory. Now, of course, there are still some little tricks here, like this is still Philistine, and that's going to be easy to forget. And also the cities are going to be kind of tough to conquer. So, he's got to kind of think about what he wants to do. He may want to actually walk back and take these out before he goes forward. Give them a singular point where he can fight them, so that there's not this potential where he has to cover his whole territory. Well, the next step's an event phase, and Aramea plays another one of their alliance chips. Everybody got a draw. They pulled one of their alliance chips out of their hand, used that. They had a +3 bonus. They're going for Hamath here, thinking, that's cool, really finish Tyre off. Spent 5 resources. Tyre spent 5 resources as well. Okay, but we're still at +3. Judah spent 4 resources to prevent it from possibly converting over, with the thought of, we really do not want a powerful Aramea. We want this struggle between Aramea and Tyre to continue. So, no chance of it happening. Moab, no one else played any yet. Moab played a Hand of Fate, which allows you to draw 2 new phase chips, okay, and replace ones on the board. And they got rid of the build phase, actually, and an action phase, and replaced them with an event and an action phase. But you know what? They're not happy about that either. They've got another Hand of Fate they're going to throw into play and see if they can get other choices. And here they pull a harvest, which is what they were looking for. Actually, they get 2 harvests. That's great. They're going to kill this event and this action phase. And what they really wanted was those harvests. They've got a resource picking. If they have them both, they might be able to pay off their troops and build some more in order to continue, in order to get an advantage if a build comes up over Edom. They weren't too terrible. Their current situation, if they count all their troops, isn't so bad against Edom. But if Edom gets 2 new units and they can't build anything, that's going to be painful. All right, that's the end of the event phase, and now we go to a resource counting phase. Just for ease of play, because I've got a harvest right afterwards, I'm going to combine the 2. And Philistines played an increase harvest on themselves. Judah played a decrease harvest on them. So that all washes out. And I'll just be doing the calculations with them together. I'm clearing both those away. You see where the points kind of sit, and obviously, Aramea is just streaking ahead everywhere. They've got that tremendously rich land, but they can't bring Judah to bear, and they can't finish Tyre off yet. They have the resources, they just don't have the power to win this game as it stands. And that's kind of a weird feeling. moving elsewhere? Well, Judah's actually in second place for the most part. Their food's not much above everyone, but their resources have grown quite heavily. Tyre's struggling for food. They have a real difficulty. They don't have a lot of it in their territories. Moab looks a lot better. Their resources weren't as bad. I thought they were at 0. They're not. And they added 21. So like everyone, they've got tons of resources, less than everyone else. But they also collected a decent amount of food now because of this rich, fertile area there. Now they'd have trouble with the way the rules are written because they'd have to have all those garrisoned. I think even the city, well, maybe not, but it's hard to tell. But anyway, the fact that they can have those without having to expend troops there definitely is an edge in their favor. They need it, though. They really do. And I don't know how much it's affected other people. No one else is at war with a minor. Okay. So we move on to an action phase. And I realize I haven't been keeping track. I haven't been flipping things over. I caught them all up now. But that's got to be kept up because you've got to be able to plan what's coming early in the period. That's one little weirdness here about the 5-year turns is at the beginning of each 5-year turn you don't have any idea what's going to be happening. So towards the end of a turn you don't know what's coming up. But, you know, if players kind of are lazy and don't flip those counters, you don't know either. Okay, well, this is an interesting little short action going on. Let's see. We see Aramea. It's gathering their forces. Tyre falling back from that. They don't think they can do much, but, you know, certainly they don't want to be cut off from their cities. They want to fall back towards them. That's their source of production. Maybe they can catch a small force or something and extend their life long enough that some kind of agreement against Judah can be made that gives them a reprieve of some sort. The Edomites came in and whacked the defecting unit along with what we see retreating. Moab's trying to pull together its forces, but it's got this problem because it's coming in piecemeal, so it's just kind of difficult. That they get a little marker. That was a territory they didn't own. The Edomites are, going to be torn between going and taking their territory back or the more valuable thing, which they'll probably do, which is continuing to wipe out Moab units. Judah went forward, lost a unit taking this city. They want to clear out the back end. Among other things, it allows them, if for some reason they feel they have to cut a peace with the Philistines and have sort of a contiguous territory, and they can let them survive. I don't think that's likely to happen the way the board is sitting right now, but it's conceivable. It's conceivable. Because Judah should be more worried with Aramea, but here's the thing. Aramea can't touch them right now, and they think they can win the game by taking the Philistines out. And I really don't see backing away from that. The question is whether the other players can come to some sort of agreement and save them. This one's going up. Looks like we'll be doing probably 2 videos for the whole turn. That's not bad.